Hey, welcome back. In this video, we are going to learn about something new, something much deeper into class and object. In our previous videos, we have learned about class, we have learned about objects. Then we also looked into how we can create and class an object of ourselves. But yeah, the key point or the takeaway from all our three videos were everything in Python is object oriented programming. So we have also looked into the type of various data types like the list, numbers, all of that belong to the class list or class numbers or class string. We talked about exactly what they were. Now we are going to look into what is self and what is init. I know we haven't used this yet, but let's have a quick introduction into this, and then in our next video we are going to look into how to use them into our code and make it much more refined. So, what exactly is self? Okay. Before going into the next part, let me give you an example about what the structure looks like. So, we have something of, let's say, class, some name over here, and over here we can just write an init function. So, let's write def underscore underscore, and then I have init. Uh, Two more underscores over here which I have forgot, and over here there will be self. That's it. And inside of this, let's write a print statement. Print state. Now what exactly is happening is whenever you create an object of that class, let's say the class name is stud, stud. So whenever you create an object s equal to stud, so what will happen is whenever the object is created for that class, whatever you have written inside this print block, it will be executed automatically. You don't have to call this function explicitly, but it will be called automatically. Now let's look into the definition and we will jump back again in one more example. Now, what exactly is self? The self variable represents the instance of the object itself. Most object oriented languages pass this as a hidden parameter to the method defined on an object. Python does not. Okay, we have seen a lot of programming languages, C++, C sharp, all of those are calling this by itself, but Python does not do it. So we have to explicitly do it. So most of the times you must have seen, if you are well versed with Python code or are jumping into this, so we have to declare it explicitly. When you create an instance of the A class and call its method, it will be passed automatically as in. So as I said that you have to create explicitly. Now what exactly is explicitly? For people who are not well versed with this technical terms of implicit, explicit. Implicit is something which is called by the system. Explicitly is something which a coder or some developer or any programmer has to call by himself. Okay, it's not an automatic process, it's not automated, you have to call it explicitly. Now class methods must have an extra first parameter in the definition, that is self. We do not give the value of the parameter when we call the method, so it's just a reference to the object. Okay. Python provides it. If we have a method which takes no argument, then we still have to have one into this. This is quite similar to pointer in C++ and reference to Java. So if you don't get this, that's totally fine. You just have to know that self is a variable that represents, or it tells reference, it gives a reference to the instance of an object itself. Okay. So whatever value you are passing out in while creating out an object, these are something that you should be taking away. Now, when we call a method of this object as myObject.method arg1 arg2, this is automatically converted by Python into my class method myObject arg1 arg2. This is all the special self is all about. So over here you can see this self which I am having. Okay, so over here I just have to write self and it will just tell me that this is a reference to my object. So that's about self. Let's look into what is init. If you have read C, C++, Java, or any other languages before, then you must have heard about constructors. What are constructors and how are they helpful to you? Python also has constructor. It is quite similar to what we have in C, C++, Java. Init method is roughly what represents that in Python. When you call, let's say, A or anything, Python creates an object for you and passes it as the first parameter to init method. Any additional parameters will also get passed as arguments in this. Okay. So what I mean by this is, if you're creating whatever you have written inside the def block, let's make things as easier for you guys. Whatever you have written inside the init block, let's say I have a print statement, I have print some addition, subtraction might be also there, any expression, whatever you have written inside it. Whenever you create an object for that particular block, okay, uh, class, okay, so whatever you have written inside the init block, it will be called automatically. You don't have to do it explicitly. Everything is done by the system itself. Let's look into a quick example. Let's break out this example for you and then we are going to jump into Jupyter Notebook. So we have a class person, and then we have def, then we have the init, which I've already told you that this is a special method, and what are methods are nothing but functions inside a class. So def, init, and then we have the self keyword, and then we have some variable. So, and at the second line what I'm doing is I am giving reference to itself. So self, okay. In the second line, what I'm doing is I'm giving reference to itself. So that is self dot name is equal to name, and at the end I am just displaying print hey self dot name with an f string, and then I'm creating an object for that particular class. So what exactly the output will be? So this is the class and this is the init block, just remember that. And as I've told you that whenever you create an object of that particular class, so whatever you have written inside of that class, it will be called automatically. So if you could see that in init block I have to pass a parameter name. Okay, so it's a constructor and we have to pass out the name inside of this. So while creating an object of that class, I have written the class name, and inside of parenthesis I've just written whatever value you want to pass out in the name. And what it will do is it will assign it to self dot name. Okay, it is just telling that it belongs to that particular instance. In this example, a person named Paul is created. While creating a person, Paul is passed as an argument. This argument will be passed to the init method to initialize the object. Okay. The keyword self represents the instance of a class and binds the attributes with the given arguments. Similarly, many objects of person class can be created by passing different names as argument. Different names, different things, whatever values you want to give, you can just pass it out. So at the end, the output for this one will be, any guesses? It will be quite, yeah, hey, and at the end it will be Paul. Hey Paul. So that's exactly what the output will be looking like. So this is a class and this is the init block and this is the object section. So always try to break your code in different parts and see what exactly is going on. So whenever you have created an object, it will jump to the init block. It will check what arguments it is having. If you have given the arguments over here, that is name. If you have given the arguments, then it's totally fine. Else it will give an error. If you have given the argument, it will move down. It will just tell us that whatever name the user has given, it's an instance of that class only. So that's why self.name. And at then I'm just printing hey self name. That's it for this session. So let's jump into Jupyter Notebook and have some hands-on view on self and init.